Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Stacking Wisdom Podcast. We are your hosts, Artem and Alex, and today we're here with Avee. Avee, do you want to tell us about yourself, who you are, maybe a little bit of your backgrounds? Where were you born? How did you come about to get into the career where you're at? Have you had any sort of experience, in dabbling with other careers as well? And just tell us a little bit about your journey. We just kind of wanted to get a feel of,
Sure.
for you, just because we weren't able to find maybe a lot of stuff on Instagram and other popular social sites. So it's we'd like to kind of give you the platform.
Thank you so much, and thanks a lot for inviting me over. I'm actually, my background's Indian.
Okay.
And I came to Canada December 2013.
Okay.
So it's not been long enough. I used to study accounting and finance, and that was my field. And right after school, I joined in because in India there's a culture about right after school, just do your universities, do your college, don't take a break, finish all the studies, and then just get to work life, and it's just like a stereotype platform that is already set, that there's one stage and the next stage, and you have to follow the same thing, because if you take it, you're going to be the odd one out. But I felt that there's no shame, there's no nothing, like you got to take a break, you got to feel it out, that what are your interests, what do you like, which I did not do that. At that time, I was just, following everyone. My dad said, mom said, people are judging you, people are looking, oh, you know what, you want to do this? I don't think you can do that just because, your scores are not high enough, or you're thinking that, okay, you know what, I'm only scoring 60% in this, and my math is really good, so should I go something with where I'm going to be using more of math? But you know what, it never really happens.
It's so true, because I noticed even with myself, with having post-secondary education, specific courses that I might have interest in at that particular time does not necessarily reflect what it is that I actually wanted to pursue at all, right? So,
exactly.
I mean, you could be great at math, but you might not really, enjoy doing it every single day, or you might enjoy history, but studying it and actually doing it full time is sort of killing your interest towards it completely, and then you start to hate it, right, for a while. So I mean, it sounds like you had quite a stretch going from accounting to construction, which seems like very high office job, to something that's kind of out in the field and managing staff, managing hours, managing people, managing so many different things. It's
not just managing, I actually do the work myself as well.
Okay. So you're very much involved, you're very hands-on, eh?
I'm very hands-on.
Okay.
Actually, the course that I did in Toronto was building renovation technology.
Okay.
And that program is actually the first 2 years are more into hands-on. So you got to learn from the basics, and you don't actually use nail guns or nailers or any. You actually use the finished nails and hammer, or you probably use regular framing nails and a hammer, roofing nails and a hammer, which nobody does that. Everybody just uses a nail gun, poof, 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 just keep on going, because when you're actually out there working, you got to speed it up. You got to finish the job faster, and you got to do it professionally. But you got to learn the basics. So that's what the course was about, to learn the basics and to learn every little step what's involved in construction. So that was my program over here when I came to Canada. But my life has been really interesting, that I used to be a very artistic person. I used to enjoy art, creating stuff, very creative. I was also in sports. We used to play soccer.
Okay, nice.
And I used to play soccer a lot.
What's your favorite team?
I used to play a lot, and my favorite team, country-wise, I used to support Brazil.
Brazil, okay. What about actual clubs?
Clubs? I was a big Manchester United fan.
Man United, okay, fair enough.
We're big soccer fans ourselves.
But we used to call it football because soccer.
It's called football everywhere else in the world, except for maybe some places in Canada and some in the States, right?
Exactly.
But how did you come to actual transition where you've gone from accounting to that push into construction? What made you take that step? And I mean, did you have the support of your parents? Because it seems like you have very conservative parents, and they wanted you to kind of stay on track. But it seems like you kind of took a little bit of a turn, right? So
it was a big transition for sure. But then again, they were always supportive of me. They're like, don't just waste time, because time is really precious. It's not going to come back. So I remember that my dad and my uncle, my dad's younger brother, they both were sitting with me, and they told me that, okay, you know what? think about time as very important thing, and they told me that do your reverse calculation. So say, for example, what do you want to see and where you want to see yourself in the next 10 years, and trying to do the reverse calculation that how much time you're going to need to work this path and to reach there. So what do you need to do for that thing, and what do you need to study for that thing, and what do you need to do right now to take all those steps. So now you got a plan.
So how do you set yourself up for success, right? Kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it's almost like a strategy, right? So
Yeah.
A little bit of strategy.
More so than even than goals, because it's like you kind of have to almost like draft like a pathway as to how you're gonna get there, right? So
I believe I believe we don't just need goals, we need targets. Like in life, like a lot of people just talk about goals, like have a goal, achieve your goal. But it's also like in life, when you think about everything, when you leave a goal, it's like like a big goal right on the top, but you don't know where to get it, like how to get it there. So you got to keep like small targets. So when you have those small targets, you keep achieving them, you know, but you don't stop. You got to hustle, because the goal is not just the optimum goal. Because when you reach that point, you're like, okay, what do I do? Like I'm here. But then again, your thoughts change, you know, and your goals change too. So when you have those targets, at that point, you actually, it's like a milestone that you've reached over there, and then you take another step. That being said, like I used to be very artistic, and I always wanted to do like something with science, engineering. I was really good at science, but then again, I didn't have that scores, so I was not able to take, like without good scores, I was not able to take the science background, because medical, engineering, you need to have good scores and separate fields. I went with marketing, business management, and I'm like, okay, since I was not able to do science, I'm gonna do the most difficult course or something that I'm gonna excel in, because I believe that I have brains for it. I believe that I could do it. But then again, I pushed myself to the very limit. So I was doing bachelor's in commerce, which is more into business management, and also I took another, which is people call over here CPA. In India, it was called CA. So that field was one of the most difficult ones, and you cannot just get that in easy. My first attempt, I cleared the entrance exam. I went in. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? It was not too hard. I went in. I did 1 year. I did the second year. I gave my exams. Everything was going smooth. It's not that easy, to be honest. It's
I bet.
definitely. It was, my social life was dead. The only social life was when I go to classes, I meet friends, and after that, you got to come back home and study. And my study time used to vary from 12 to 15 hours a day, like including the classes. And the rest of the time, it's either sleeping or food. So it was all dead. I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. So it was my second level, and after that, there was a final level. But the second level, second grade, the moment I gave that exams, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to wait for my results. I'm done.
Wow.
There's something in me just called in. I'm like, you know what? I am done with
So that was like the turning point. You just knew from there on.
I just knew that, like, you know what? Sitting behind the computer and working on the balance sheets, numbers, learning about the contracts, there was a lot. It was a lot to process. I was doing it, but then again, I'm like, you know what? Even if I finish the program, even if I finish the courses, I study the whole thing. I'm not gonna practice that. I'm not gonna use that. It's good knowledge that I have it, but then again, I'm not gonna use that in my daily life. I don't want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. So I stopped. I took a little break. I'm like, I need to figure out what I need to do. I don't know. I'm a creative person, and I've been behind the books this whole time. I don't have a social life, and I used to be very social. Like I was vice president of my environment club in India, in our school, and I used to do a lot of plays, and I was in sports. So I used to be, you know, very outgoing,
very involved, very social. Sounds like it, right?
Yeah.
So,
And now this was like totally opposite. That I'm studying in a room with maybe one or two buddies, and everyone's studying. You know, no one's talking. There's only one. One thing that we talk is asking a question, which is also, you know, something related to academics. Then again, I'm like, you know what? I'm done. So I told my dad and told my mom, and they're like, you know what? You're almost there, and after that, it's just your final year. Just finish it off, and you know, people are gonna say that, okay, you actually dropped out in the final year. You're really good. Everything's going smooth. But then again, I explained myself that I didn't want to do it. It's not me. You've seen me. it's not me. I'm totally opposite. I can't really, look at myself doing all this throughout my life. So they were supportive. It took them a little bit of time but I believe after 2-3 days, they told me that, okay, you know what, take your time, think about yourself, think about where you want to get. So that was the meeting. Like my dad and my uncle, they told me that, okay, where do you want to go? Where do you want to see yourself in the next 10 years? And then make your decision wisely.
I like how with Indian families, like I have to bring the whole family together in order to discuss big life changing decisions, right?
It's just that we're all attached emotionally, so we talk. We used to live in a joint family before, and I was about 12 years when my dad's older brother and dad's younger brother, they all moved out and they had separate families, separate houses, and still like big houses. Everyone. There was a point when we were like my dad's older brother and younger brother. We all had separate floors, but we used to live in one big family. So every time we were going out, there were like 6-7 cars we're taking out, and everyone's. We were 8 kids within a family, like within the whole house, and everyone. Whenever there's a guest coming over, you should see it's like a grand feast because everyone around and everyone's talking. Everything's loud.
So it sounds very, very presidential. It's almost like you have like an escort, and then you have like a huge dining area. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So that scale sort of got you, I guess, to thinking about other things that are on the bigger, grander scale kind of thing, right? So that's
true.
So what was the switch? What was the one thing that kind of
what motivated you to like get into home building in the first place? Like how did you make that transition from like more like as you said, like the being in this seemingly stuck environment in school to being creative with the whole industry and home building.
Home building. Okay, so I was looking at myself. I'm like, you know what? I want to have a lifestyle. And for that lifestyle, I need to be doing something. It's not just, running the numbers or working or making money. Because making money, it sounds easy, but you know what? How? The big question is, how are you going to make money? And then another question, are you happy making all that money? Because it's just one thing that you're doing something and you're making money with it, but if you're not happy doing that, you're not going to be happy enjoying all the money that you earn.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you got to be happy and you got to keep making money. So for that, I just wanted to choose something. I'm like, I need some time. I'm going to actually take some time and explore myself, explore my interests. So I joined my dad's business, which was manufacturing of automobile spare parts.
Okay.
So it was all management and accounting. But then again, I left the accounting part. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But running the business, managing business, it was something different. And I explored myself. And I'm like, I can't be doing that. I calling all the clients, and there were so many clients, asking them for a little bit of paperwork or sending payments over. And a lot of business in India is cash-based, and the other half is, electronic. But then again, to ask for money, it takes weeks, months for them to send them over, because you're not just, you're selling a product, but being a manufacturer, it goes to wholesalers and then it goes to retailers. And a lot of time, they are not going to pay you until the product is sold. So it takes somewhere about 6 months for them to send the payment.
Wow.
So it was I'm like, how would I be able to survive?
Your business in such a bind, right?
But my dad has been doing that for years. He's been doing that for ages. And within the same industry, he's known for his brand. He's known for the business principles that he has and the quality product that he offers. So I'm like, I don't want to do this. So my dad's older brother, he was a sleeping partner with someone else. And my uncle, being a sleeping partner, he suggested me that, okay, why don't you try the construction? Because, he's a sleeping partner in some other company, and he's invested in it.
Silent partner, you mean?
No, yeah.
Sleeping
okay. Yeah, sound partner,
No worries.
Because that's a different term. In different countries.
Fair enough, okay.
So he's a sound partner, he just invested in it, so... I'm like, okay, I can give that a try. So I joined that company as an intern. I was learning a lot about construction and the project management, how to do it. So managing and looking at everyone learning the whole trade over there. It was only a matter of about a year that I was doing that, a year and a half. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me try it. Looking the business in India, I was like, I don't want to stay here. Too much traffic, too much pollution. It was just something in me that, okay, you know what? I don't see myself living in India for a long period of time. How about I give it a try. My dad's over here, my brother's here. I could give it a try, give it out, go to New Zealand, London, or go to States, Canada.
It's crazy how you had such a like wide, I guess, spectrum of where you could go in the world, right? So why made you pick Canada? Because you have relatives here, you said, right? So
No, relatives. There was just one cousin, and she was married recently. But then again, I'm like, I only have one cousin, and all the other locations like New Zealand, London, States, South America, or anywhere else. We had like people from distant family, like family friends, but we never had like any close relatives. So I'm like, I want to, but then again, you know what? I might have some supporting if I'm feeling down. I have someone to talk to.
Of course, yeah.
And so that was like, okay, you know what? It might be a little easy, but then again, I need to make sure that, okay, I'm gonna be, whatever I'm gonna do, I have to excel in it. I gotta be successful in that field. So is that really good industry over there? If I'm gonna go to Canada, the industry should be good. London or New Zealand, Australia, anywhere. So I chose my first preference being Canada. I went over there. I gave it a shot. I applied for college. I applied for construction engineering and building renovation, and I got my admission in building renovation. So I was really excited. I'm like, I love art and I also love science. And construction is something. It's a collaboration of both.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're creating something.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. You're using all the science and the knowledge and your skills, and you're using the art to actually creating something beautiful. So I'm like, it's perfect for me, and because I loved whatever I did. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
No worries. No worries.
Okay. Sorry. I'll just put that on silent. I should have done that before.
Okay.
I should have done that before, but never really paid attention to it.
Yeah. So you decided on Canada because you felt like the industry itself was going to be something that could be useful to you, but just the experience from this country, or so why wasn't it New Zealand? Why wasn't it England?
Canada was my first preference. That I'm gonna give that a try. I gave it a try. I love Toronto.
Right.
It was my first city to land in Toronto. Yeah. So when I came here in Toronto, like, don't get me wrong, I've been to Switzerland, I've been to London, I've explored it. But then again, for education and for business prospect, to see myself living over here, I gave it a shot, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try 1 year with education if I like it, and I loved it. By the way, I loved it. So Toronto being so diverse, everybody was so welcoming. Everyone's very polite when you talk to. Everyone's smiling, and even if you bump into someone, it's your fault, but somebody else will apologize that, hey, I'm sorry. But I quickly adapted myself to with everyone, and I enjoyed myself within school. So I was like, you know what? I remember that the 10-year plan that I had. That, okay, you know what? I want to see myself over there, so I gotta hustle. So that word was in my head. That no matter what I do, I need to hustle. That being said, education, which is in school, I'm learning the hands-on trade. I'm like, I need to learn construction in Toronto, in Canada. So if I have my construction company, I don't want anyone to make a fool out of me. That, okay, this is how it's done, or I don't want to be going to YouTube and watching all of that. That, hey, how is it actually done? So I wanted to learn from the scratch, from the basics. So my education was there, learning everything hands-on, the book knowledge, and after that, my first job was in school in George Brown within the very first week of the school. It was at Tim Hortons. So it was also helping me to, develop my English accent, because I was in India. I had my education all in English, but then again, the fluency and the way we talk is totally different.
Oh, I bet, of course, because I think it's probably almost like a fluidity of like Indian and then like also English, but then also like adapting to maybe local terms and stuff like that, right? So
there are
essentially, that I would assume that most likely that's what it would be.
Exactly.
Right? So,
and in India, when we talk, it's a mix of both. It's the English and Hindi language, which is the most commonly known language in India. But we have a lot of languages. Every province has their own set of accent. Every province has their own language as well. So
I think they say in Canada it's something like, I think 3 out of 4 people work in customer service. So it's great in the sense that it develops the very like the social aspect of interacting with people, but at the same time, working at Tim Hortons, I bet like it kind of motivated you to kind of keep pushing to pursue that, right? To get to that point where you wanted to go to as well, right? So
I really wanted to, and don't get me wrong, like it was not easy. Like my first 3-4 days, it was a disaster because I was sitting behind the desk at an office, and there were like 20 people in the office working for me because that was my dad's company.
Yeah.
And I was, within the factory, we had 100 people working, and they all used to listen to my command. But there was something in me that I did not earn it. Like I'm sitting behind the desk, I'm sitting on the chair, and what have I done? Like, example, if I'm going to be there and I'm looking at myself from someone else's point of view, and is he going to respect me? Why? Because I'm just sitting on the chair. He's respecting the chair. He's listening to my order, but he's not respecting me because I did not earn it.
As a person,
I didn't
right?
I didn't do anything to be able to sit on this chair and give them a command.
Did you think they would respect you more if you had started at the bottom? If your dad had decided to do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody would respect. Look at anyone who's actually started from the bottom, and then he's somewhere able to achieve something, and then talk to people, or not even talk to people. A lot of people don't really care what other people think. But when you start from the bottom and you are somewhere, you know how everything works, because you made your own way, you made your own path.
So how did you make them earn respect for you? Like, what did you do?
That was in India. I left the whole company and I wanted to do it because that's what.
So you kind of wanted it like a different challenge. You kind of wanted
and over there, what? My dad had a car. He gave me a car, and from driving a Mercedes, I'm over here sweeping up floors at a Tim Hortons. So like
it's like reality calls, right? Like
exactly.
It's like you're right here. Like it's not going to be easy. You gotta start moving things along. And
exactly.
Kind of like work your way up again, sort of.
I had to.
Yeah.
But then again, I was pampered. I was put in a nutshell that okay, the world is not that great out there. So we're building something for you. All my business is for you. But then again, I'm like, if you're gonna be pampering me and you're gonna keep me in that nutshell, I'm never gonna grow. I'm never gonna learn myself. You will give me that business, but I will never be able to sustain it. Like, what if something bad happens and I'm not able to survive that business? So it's gonna hurt me that all your business is going down because of me. So I don't want to take that. So I told him that's the reason. It was another transition to convince him. It took me like 3 months to actually send me overseas to a different country. And that being said, once I came here in Toronto, Tim Hortons was the first job. After 3 days, I'm like, I should quit. I was crying. I did not call my parents. I did not tell him. But my mom was like, you know what, leave that job. You're serving coffees to people. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. I was trying to show her that I'm strong.
Yeah.
But inside, I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why do I need to? But you know what? I'm like, if a 15-year-old can do that, and if I can do that right now, something bad happens when I'm 30, 35, and I have kids, and I have a wife, I won't be able to do that. You know what? My ego is gonna clash, and he's gonna be like, hey, what the hell are you doing? You're running a company and now you're serving coffees. At that point, I won't be able to. So I need to do it right now to actually bring my ego all the way down and work my way up. So
you try to kind of stay humble in that position, right? So
I literally, my lips were sealed. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna argue with anyone. I'm just gonna learn whatever it is. And it's not that learning how to serve coffees or make coffees. I used to be a baker, and it's not that I wanted to learn how to be a chef. It was my job at that time, but it had a lot of pressure. Like, I used to start at 5 a.m. and by 7 a.m. you have to have everything ready. All the muffin, bagels, donuts. You need to have all the sandwiches, everything ready and ready in the shelf, because 7 a.m. they want to open up. And within 2 hours, getting everything done. And there's only one oven. And within that oven, you gotta, one by one, set up everything within 2 minutes. Well, by the time the oven's working for 2 minutes, you gotta set up the next trays and the next trays and get everything lined up. So quickly you open the doors, move it up, move on the side, the next one's ready. Then, the chocolate and the glazing, and there's so much. And I was the only one. And 7 a.m., 5 minutes before, everyone comes by, the shows, and they help me to set up everything, and they start making the coffees to open the gates. And first hour is just boom. Everyone, there's a huge lineup at Tim Hortons every morning. And over the weekends, I'm like, you know what? working at Tim Hortons is not going to help me. I'm in construction. I need to focus. So I started walking outside in Etobicoke and Mississauga on the streets, looking at construction sites, asking my college professors to help me. But then again, you know what? I'm new to the country. Nobody's going to help me because I don't have Canadian experience. I don't have the Canadian education. So I knocked on the doors, construction sites. I'm like, hey, I'm a student. I want to learn the trade. Would you be kind enough to just hire me as a helper? You don't have to pay me. I'm just going to be a free laborer. I just want to see, observe, and learn. Like, I'm not, but when it comes to construction, there's a big constraint. WSIB, accidents, workless. And if I don't know all that stuff, there's a big risk that I might end up in an accident.
Right. Yeah.
So almost everyone, you know, told me no. There was one straight answer.
How many of those places did you go to? How many did you approach? More than 100.
More than 100.
In the span of how long?
About like 2 months.
Okay. Wow.
So how many no's did you hear until you heard the yes?
It was. I told you I have a cousin, and they bought a house in Mississauga at that point, and they were renovating that. So the contractor they hired, they suggested me because I was learning in school. It's been like 2.5 months for me that I was in Canada. They're like, okay, you know what? My cousin is in school and he's learning construction. Would you be able to hire him as a free labor? And then they're like, okay, free labor. He was ready. So that was my first break because they, they kind of offered him, but they never pushed because you know what, they're building a house and you know they're doing the whole trade. It was a renovation, not building a house, but so they're redoing the whole house, but they want to make sure that the house is done properly because it's their house.
Of course.
And then again, it was also that pushing me, giving me a little push that okay, you know what, now you have a break. So over the weekend, I used to go there, and they used to work 7 days a week. So I joined them, free labor for first month. I'm traveling a lot, and then I requested. I'm like, hey, would you be able to pay me a little bit? Because I'm traveling from downtown Toronto all the way to Mississauga,
sure.
And it used to take me an hour and a half to come by. I'm like, it's TTC and then Mississauga Transit, so and plus lunch. If that's okay with you, would you be able to pay me a little bit, like maybe minimum wage? But that was a little a struggle period for me. And I used to get paid $60 or $70 a day, and that was underpaid. But then again, I'm like, you know what? Whatever they're paying me, it's still fine because I want to learn the trade. I want to learn the trade. It was interesting. The guy was really good. The guy was super cheap. He used to charge cheap, pay cheap. But then again, the quality of the work was really good, and it was a good learning experience for me. And after that, I kept working with him for a while. When there was a day that I was working, I went to his place in Brampton, somewhere about 7 a.m. I was at the door, but I think his alarm was kind of screwed up, so he did not wake. It was snowing outside, so I was in his porch, sitting over there, and knocking on the door and calling him. He didn't answer the call.
Nobody answered it.
Yeah, nobody answered it. So about an hour later, he opened the door. He's like, sorry, my alarm screwed up. And I was not. I'm like, it's okay. And he saw me that I'm on the patio freezing my ass. And like, why don't you just come in and warm yourself up? I'm like, okay. So I put my jacket down. He gave me a blanket. I was on a couch. And his wife made me some coffee. And within a half hour, we left for work. That was the thing. He was really good, but he was, not professional when it comes to the timeline. So he used to start his day around 11 a.m. and work until 9 p.m. I'm like, that's not the way, right? Like, you start early and early, spend time with your family.
Yeah.
So we went to work. We're working until 9, and after that, he's like, "How is that okay if we work a little late because we just want to finish up this work?" I'm like, "Okay." So in Brampton, around 12, after 12, there was one bus somewhere up on Steeles. Like, okay, would you be able to drop me off over there? Because we're at one traffic signal and there's just one block on the right, there's a bus stop, and he has to make a left. And he's like, oh, the bus is like just like 5-10 minutes, we still have time. You can walk over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's minus 30. It's, whether it was 2014, somewhere in February, late February. It was really cold, and I remember that was minus it felt like minus 32 at that point. And I'm walking in Brampton in freezing cold. And, you know, I had my hoodie on, I had my jacket on, and I'm just, you know, walking like this with a backpack on, and I'm just walking slow. And then I saw the bus coming by from the Trinity, I don't know what the whole, the complex, but it just came from there, made a left, and did not even stop at the bus stop because nobody was there. And I'm walking and I started running.
Yeah.
I'm like, because the next bus is an hour later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not going to work. I started running, I kept running, but the bus was long gone.
It just took off, right?
Yeah. And I turn around and I look at the car and his van was gone as well. Like, and I'm like, it's almost 1, there's no one around, it's minus 32. And I'm like, I'm cold, what do I do? And I did not even have cash to, you know, pay the cab. And I'm like, from this point, if I go all the way to Etobicoke, North York, where I was living, I'm like, it's going to cost me somewhere about $40-50 taking a cab. I started walking. Being a student, you know what, you're really short in cash.
Yeah.
You have to be very frugal, right? So,
Yeah.
So I started walking and I'm walking, and at that point, I'm like, my lips were getting numb, and it was, you know.
Well, how come you didn't have a coat, man? That's the question. Like, why no coat? It's just because you're being so frugal, you just kind of, you thought you could just get by, eh?
I'm like, you know what, there might be another bus coming by, maybe somebody's going to help me.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm walking, and, you know, like, you know what, I'm not going to go back to working with this guy anymore. He did not even help me. It was just
That was like the wake-up call, right?
Exactly.
This whole scenario.
And I'm like, I'm just working for him for free. And, you know, he's just paying me for traveling $50-60 per day.
He's taking advantage of you, and then not only that, you're always late. And
I was learning. I was gaining a lot. Like, the experience that I was learning, it was a lot.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm like, it's not worth it. Like, I spent all day, somewhere about 12 hours, more than 12 hours a day, and it didn't feel right. It didn't feel something in me. I'm like, you know what? If he took a right, dropped me off, and then made a U-turn, it would only, you know, taken him maybe 60 more seconds or maybe 2 more minutes. That would have helped me, but he was not even, you know, able to help me for those 2 minutes. And, you know, set aside whatever he pays me, set aside whatever he has done. He's taught me a lot, but then again, the timeline and the professionalism, I was like,
it's funny. It almost sounds like it was like a, you know, a point where you almost hit like a crossroads, right?
Yeah.
And it's like he went to the left, you went to the right,
Exactly.
and then from there on, and like it became almost like
Exactly.
you went on your own way. So was that the point where you've kind of said to yourself, I want to start my own business and I just want to move forward with
this? Was in 2014. No. I had a long way. I still had a long way to, you know, it's still a long way for me to learn. But then again, I made a decision that okay, you know what, I'm not gonna work for free for anyone. I'm not gonna let people take advantage of me. So I was walking at that point. It was somewhere about 1:45, and I'm shivering, and I was literally crying. Somewhere 1:45. There's no one around. Nobody can help me. And at that point, I forgot about the cab because I was just freezing. My brain was going numb, and because I was crying, all my eyelashes were frozen. It was just getting touched, and I'm like, I can't do it. And there was not in service bus. It just passed by. It saw me, and I looked around, and I just turned around. He saw me, and I'm like, I can't even, you know, take my hands out and, you know, ask him to stop or something. But the guy was generous enough. He stopped. It was not in service. He stopped, and he's like, "What are you doing out here?" I'm like, I was waiting for my bus. I missed it. The next bus is somewhere about another half hour.
Sure.
And now, I don't know, like I'm just walking and, you know, just looking for something. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to North York. He's like, I'm actually heading towards the same direction, but I'm not going to go that far. So any far, just warm yourself up. So we were talking, and he, you know, he even had his coffee. He just bought a brand new coffee, and he gave me, you know what, take the coffee. And I was warming myself up. He was a really nice guy. He helped me. He even called the next bus from the radio, and he's like, you know what, I got someone who needs help, and he's heading towards that direction. So I might be like a minute late, but just hold on over there and just take this guy.
It sounds like a very Canadian story where people are always like the people that you least expect to kind of help you out always kind of step up and and go out of their way to kind of do this kind of thing. So I've experienced a lot of similar stories, and I've heard a lot of people tell me similar stories as well. But it's crazy how it seems like it's that was sort of the turning point for you where you kind of had that really negative experience. But then it sort of you turn that into positive because it made you realize a lot of things about your career as well.
Was it that point though, like, or did you always have like sort of an entrepreneurial drive? Was it something that you grew up with like as a kid?
I always did. I always did. Like I was like, no matter what I do, I want to have my own business because that's what I grew up with. I saw my dad. I saw my.
You always looked up to him.
I always looked up to him, and dad is everyone's like. You look up to your father. You learn a lot from him, no matter what he is, no matter what they do in life. But you always look at the good stuff in them, and you learn from them. So that being said, I was, I always had that entrepreneurial thing in me, and I'm like, but I still wanted to learn the trade. So after that, the moment I got home, I was had like a frostbite on my toe, and I was freezing, and my brother was sleeping. And at that point, my brother also came to Canada, and it was only a month that he came to Canada at that point because he was doing accounting, and he took a course. And I'm
so your dad found the replacement, right? Essentially.
No, my dad actually felt like everybody's leaving because he's got two sons. One left a year ago, and then the other one left.
Followed the same path,
and they're both in Canada now, and we're living together. We're like, instead of roommates, it's just better that we live together.
Exactly.
So we were living in a basement in North York. So I left the moment I got home. He was there. He was sleeping. He did not even pay attention to me. He did not even knew that I'm there. I, quickly took my jackets off and whatever the clothes that I had, I'm like, if I just sleep in this one, I'm gonna be cold for a long because they're all freezing cold. So I took my clothes off and I put a lot of clothes. I had like probably 2 track pants and a hoodie, and then I took like a blanket over me, or maybe 2 blankets over me, and I slept. And the next morning, I woke up around, I did not even go to school the next day, and I'm glad I did not had the Tim Hortons job the early next day. So I kind of took the day. I went to school. I missed my 2 classes, but then again, I went to school the next day, the following day, and I was home just taking a rest because I was sick. I called up my cousin. I'm like, hey, I'm just sick. I'm not feeling good. So could you help me? What should I do? Just take some Tylenol, drink some soup, and I'm like, okay. So that's what I did. I just, I'm not gonna cook soup because I don't feel it. I just walked up to Timmy's, grabbed soup, came back, and had a Tylenol. And I was thinking a lot that day that, okay, what I need to do, can I let all the people exploit me? Because it was exploitation. They're not paying me, and for whatever the whole experience was. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna look forward and I'm gonna learn, so I don't have to look back and I can't have any other person exploit me. So I went to school. I spoke to my professor about it, and they're like, "Oh, you can't let people exploit you." So I'm like, "Well, thank you. I know that." But they were generous enough to actually, help me with the interviews and explore myself and which field I like. Do I like finished carpentry, framing, roofing? Whatever you like, just go with it.
So what did you end up picking from that?
I went to general contractor. I'm like, because I wanted to learn. I wanted to explore myself. So they helped me too. And after that, I'm working with another contractor. And after that, another contractor started just, exploring myself, which trade do I like, which contractor I like. Because I was picking up different contractors to learn. And everyone had something different to teach. And a lot of people had their prices low, but then again, you know what? It was a big learning curve for me. So I pick and choose a few months with this contractor, and then I'm like, I found another opportunity, so I jumped on to the next one and the next one. So I had different people teaching me different stuff, and let's just say tile. So everyone had a different way of doing the tiles, but it's always a learning curve.
So what are some of the big lessons that you can take away from the people that you worked with? I mean, obviously, like you said, everybody is different in terms of what they can teach you about actually doing work, but was there anything that you sort of learned from doing hard work and hard labor, because you kind of moved on from that, from that being with your dad and working with his company into something that's completely different and was very hands-on. It's almost like you wanted to kind of go out and prove yourself in the sense that you kind of wanted to earn his respect, but at the same time you wanted to do it in your own. But you picked like the harder thing.
I actually
right?
wanted to prove myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wanted to prove myself that okay, I'm worthy enough of doing something on my own and not just taking a crown or taking a chair or just being given something or handed over to me that okay, you know what, I've done a lot of my part. You're my son. Take my business and run my business. I'm like, okay, what? Why? I've not earned it. So that was another reason that okay, I wanted to prove myself that I'm worthy enough to do something on my own. And if I can do something on my own, I can start something on my own, and I can be the person who actually starts his own business and or do something and reach at a certain point that okay, you know what, I can tell my kids the same story that every father tells, that okay, I came to this country or I came to this city with $10 in my pocket, but I actually had more than $10 in my pocket because international student, we had to bring a certain set of money to prove them okay, and the education was really expensive. It's like at least a triple.
And I think it really depends on what the industry and the thing is. It's just funny because it's like you came and then you sort of gave into things, and people started taking advantage of you. And it almost came to that sort of culmination with that weather where you got stuck. But and then people sort of started changing their way, and they actually started
but it was being
helpful to you, because like with that bus driver, right? So I mean,
it was a good thing because it was a big learning curve because I was in the real world out there without my dad's umbrella over me, and so I'm actually experiencing everything myself, and I'm learning from all those mistakes or all those experiences. So
once again, what are some of the I guess the biggest life lessons that you've learned from people that you worked with? The contractors and the other businesses as well. What can you take away from it other than the hands-on experience, obviously, that you were able to
hands-on experience, definitely I learned a lot from them. But then again, there's one thing that I learned from a lot of different contractors and the companies that I work for is staying humble. No matter how much money do we have, no matter what we have, staying humble is the best thing, because wherever you are, if you forget your roots, where you began from, then you're gonna drop back to same spot one day and you won't be able to take that. So always stay humble, help anyone who's actually starting their own thing, or anyone who actually is at a position who has capability to learn and grow. So just help them out, push, give them a little push that okay, if they are capable enough, they're gonna make their own way, but your experiences can help a lot to the people.
So are you helping any new kids that are sort of just getting into it as well?
I do.
Working with you now?
I do, yeah. So a lot of people, because when I was working at a job and I was a project manager for that company, I hired 2 people from George Brown. They were students and they were learning, and they wanted something for a few weeks because of their internship, for work experience. They wanted something, and after that, one of the guy, he actually joined me full time.
Nice.
So I was actually pushing. I'm like, anybody need a job? Anybody needs work experience? It'll be a safe environment. I've been through that. I was looking. I just wanted to, the same transition that I've been through. I was walking on the streets and finding a job for myself to gain the work experience. Somebody needs it. I can help you out with it. So, being a project manager in that company, I was able to help a lot of people. I hired a lot of people. Actually, funny story, I landed that job right after graduation, and I was working as a laborer, and within 2 months that he saw that okay, you know what, I'm more than a laborer, I'm doing a lot of work. There was already a supervisor, but I was like second in command. I was doing a lot of work, and
was it because they noticed your leadership qualities, or was it because they knew that your education, or so you actually tried to push yourself, right? Okay.
I think it was a mix of everything, because I wanted to learn and I wanted to show the boss that okay, what all can I do? So I used to ask for opportunities. Initially, obviously, when you're doing, you're helping someone move the stuff, bring the drywall sheet up, bring the plywood here, just move around, and then they used to ask me, "Can you do this?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." And not just yes, you can. Then okay, you gotta prove it. just from one thing, and I offered them, okay, you know what? If you want me to do this, I know how to do that. He asked me 2-3 questions. It was about trim, finished carpentry, like. So I asked him, like, okay, you know what? I can do that. I've done that. He's like, okay, you know what? There's one closet door. Give that a try, and we'll see. So from that point, when I gave that a try, and he's like, he took the supervisor. He's like, okay, you know what? Why don't you guys work on something else? Let this guy take care of all the work, because I was, doing good. So I started taking initiatives. I asked him that, okay, I can do this, I can do that. It was, mix of everything, because working for a contractor, is a mix of everything. It's not just one trade.
Yeah.
So I was, making my way over there, and within that company, the supervisor quit for some reason. They had an argument, and so I was the next in line, and he promoted me. He's like, you know what, you still have a long way to go, but then again, instead of me having someone else, the way we work, the way we operate, so you're next in charge.
So you got the opportunity to step up, and you were able to fill those shoes, eh?
Exactly. Okay. My pay did not increase. I was still working for, at that point in 2015, I believe, I was working for $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And I was given the title supervisor.
How was that?
Again, it was a lot of responsibilities. Yeah. It was a big learning curve for me. I'm like, you know what? Screw the money. Money is something that, okay, I can learn in future, but the work, the amount of work that I can do, and the responsibilities I can take on myself, the experience that I can gain from this thing, that's what's going to help me to, take another step. And then if I go to another company and I can tell them that I've been doing a lot of this work, it's just that, my pay was low, but I have experience and I can prove them with a lot of my work that I do, with all the skill set. So I started working, and after that, I was their project manager within the same company. That company started making houses, and I built 5 houses with them, modern houses, custom home building. He was also a project manager himself, so he was taking more of the financial part of the construction company and the planning part, where he's the one who's taking calls for who's going to be the concrete guys, foundation guys, which subtrade he's going to hire. And I was in charge of actually on-site supervisor taking control of everything then, and managing everyone that, okay, what, as per the drawings, it's supposed to be this, and I was always on site. And that being said, a lot of responsibilities and a lot of experiences. I used to be very careless too. Careless as in because I just wanted to learn as much as I can within the short span of time, because I had that, I got to reach my target, so I don't have much time. I want to learn as much as I can. And then I'm like, one day I wanted to do something really fancy. I was looking at Instagram, and like people had those, the tree trunk slabs, and the natural wood slabs. They're making countertops with it. They're making tables with it. So I told my boss, I'm like, hey, you know what? Why don't you get something for the basement bar? We're gonna do something, and I'll use a router. We'll make a sink. And he's like, because he knew that what I'm capable of, and I was doing it. I'm like, okay, sure. But the router is something that you cannot trust very easily. Like you have to have a really proper grip with it. And I was without a template. I was just working my way with the router with one hand, and the template, instead of clamping it proper, I was holding, and I was just working. And the moment I started digging in, within the first, I believe, 1 or 2 seconds, I had an accident right there. I had my safety glasses. I'm glad that I did not have working gloves at that point. I don't know what would have happened. But then again, there was a guy right beside me. He was really muscular, construction guys. I was skinny, but then again, he's muscular. He's helping me, and I'm holding the guide, and I'm using a router. And within like 1 or 2 seconds, it was a flash. The router has so much torque, so much RPM. It just hit my hand. So it hit my knuckle over here. It actually tossed off a chunk of the bone somewhere. I did not even see it. Like over here, it came all the way here. Until my thumb, and it's spinning, and it's just there, and I'm like, holy sh! And my finger just dropped like this. It was lower, and I'm like, I turned the machine off. I let it on the side. Right now, a lot of adrenaline is flowing, a lot of blood is flowing out, and the muscular guy, he's really, and he's looking, and he passed out because he's afraid of
So,
blood. And his muscles were like this big. But then again, you know, people are that way. Some people can look at blood. And he passed out. And at that point, I saw him, and I'm like, no, I'm in deep shit. I'm like, oh my God, I literally fucked up. I'm like, okay, wow. I just held my hand, and there were no rags over there. I don't want to use dirty rags, you know, on that. So there was a paper towel roll, and I just picked it up, wrapped my hand around, and I was screaming my boss's name, and he just ran quickly. He saw me, and he's like, okay, you know what, we got to go to the hospital. He was kind enough. He took me to the hospital, and the moment we were there at the emergency, his wife just showed up to the house with some material, and then she's like, hey, how's it going with the work? I just saw some blood. Is everyone okay? And then they were like, oh, Avee just got his hand, and you know, we're just at the emergency. Like, oh, is he okay? And then she's like, oh wait, I just saw a piece of bone here. And she started freaking out. And I did not even know that. Okay, I just thought it's a flesh cut. I did not know that. Okay, you know what? I cut the bone. Blah blah blah. And so they did some temporary stitches. It took me like. At the hospital, it took me 2 hours for someone to look at my hand and stitch me up and give me the first aid. So, that being said, after that, I'm like, you know what? This is it. You know, this is another turning point. This is where I should not be careless now. And this is not $15 an hour. Like, I'm worth way more than that. And I'm like, I don't want to work with this company anymore. But then again, with this injury, who's gonna hire me? Nobody wants to work with me anymore. So I had so many thoughts in my head. I was looking up because they told me that there's another appointment 2 days later. So 21st of October, I went to another hand specialist just to show my hand, and it was around 1 p.m. that he looked at my hand. He's like, oh, just wait a few more hours and we'll get back to you. I'm like, okay. So he was really busy, and he's just in and out of every room, and he had like maybe 15 rooms lined up and going to every room one by one, and he's spending not more than 2 minutes with anyone. He's just going, and the moment he walks out, the patient goes out and the next patient's in. So he was really busy, and I'm like, if he wants me to wait, I don't know, like, is there something serious? What does he want to talk with me? I'm just, you just, again.
Your mind starts running, right? All these ideas of possible doom scenario, right?
So at that point, I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Around 3:30, he told me just, okay, you know what? We're taking you to the operation theater. We're gonna stitch up your hand. It needs to be done right now, or you're gonna lose your finger.
My goodness.
Wow. I'm like, okay. My thoughts were, whatever, let's just go. Okay, do whatever you have to. I trust you. I just knew his name. I did not even research about him, that is he the best surgeon or is there someone else. I was just concerned about my hand, and I'm like, let's just go. Let's just go. They froze my hand, and I'm up just lying, and you know, I could feel that something's happening. My hand's frozen. After a while, they told me they stitched my hand. There's tendons were cut, ligaments were cut, the bone was cut. They did the temporary stitching, and after that, they're like, okay, we're gonna look into more possibilities of surgeries, but in the meantime, we cannot do it. Your hand needs to heal before we go for the next surgery. So
it seems like it was a very long and dragged out process, right?
Yeah.
So how long did it take you for you to heal your hand so you were able to go back to work, or like what was the I guess what happened from then on? Like, was that the point where you kind of decided to do your own business, or what?
Still too far. Still too far.
Okay, fair enough.
I was within the company. It took me like about a month, almost a month, for me to, you know, because I was at a bed rest. I can't lift up my hand. I can't move my fingers because all these fingers are right here. They're connected together.
Of course.
So it's not just one finger. I can't move any finger because the moment I try to move this one, this finger pains, and it was really painful. And I had a cast. Like, I gotta go to physiotherapy, start
rehab, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. So the physiotherapy was helpful. They're helping me. I went back to my boss was calling me that, hey, you know what, you need to come back for modified services. WSIB is paying me. but I need to get back to work somehow, or else, I'm gonna get used to the life of getting paid and not, my brain is gonna tell me that, okay, I'm not gonna feel better, because when you start working, you feel happy,
Get your mind off of things too, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because when you're home, your mind's empty. And you have negative thoughts that, okay, what's gonna happen? I won't be able to work. I can't work. Blah blah blah. So at that point, I started working with the same company, and he initiated another business of construction materials. So he was bringing a lot of stuff from China, and then he's like, okay, you know what? Why don't you help me with this? I'm gonna hire more people for the construction business. You can guide them. You can tell them what needs to be done. You can manage all the employees. You can take care of that, and also the new startup that I'm working on. He can help me. So I was helping him with the web designing. So I was talking to the web designer, taking care of the websites and the material coming in, the shipments, controlling for the warehouse where it needs to be, and making the whole chart, designing that which tile, which hardwood for which laminate. So everything, we were just looking into that, and then this business too. And at that point, I also felt that, because every company feels that, because they're paying me for a few hours. Well, like, I'm working a few hours, but they're paying me a lot. For me, I'm like, I've given my blood, sweat, and all my couple years of life, everything. I've given a lot towards this company, towards growing myself and benefit of the company. And in reverse, I felt that, okay, you know what, stuff has changed. I felt the way people were talking to me, so I did not feel happy working within the company anymore. I felt that, okay, I'm just like a burden on the company, and so I quit. I gave them my notice that, okay, you know what, this is my 2-week notice. I thought the company, my boss will be generous, and he's gonna ask me to stay, because I worked with him so much. I helped him even if he was traveling. He used to travel a lot. He used to go to Vegas for 2 weeks. He used to go to Mexico. He goes to Punta Cana for weeks, and I used to take care of all his business. There was also one time when he was in Punta Cana, and I was running his business, the whole construction site, by myself. And I think not WSIB, Labor Ministry of Labor came by, and they actually shut down the site because there were some issues with it, and they're like, okay. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm not experienced with that. I never had Ministry of Labor walk into my site, and then because this, there was the stucco contractor, he had his stucco, he had his scaffolding uneven. So the base was uneven, the scaffold was all level, but the bases were uneven. So they asked us to take them the whole scaffold down, level the whole ground, take a lot of garbage, put that in the bin. It was, it took us like 2 days to get everything done. But since I was not able to get hold of him, it was just emails that I was getting in touch, but everything I had to do myself. It was a big learning experience that how should I take care of that situation. So I moved on.
As negative as that was, I think it's great because it's almost like that accident kind of puts you in a position where you've learned the much more of a managerial side of the business too, right? But and then it kind of puts you on the path where you've had to experience a lot of stuff along the way that was sort of like very kind of extreme situations, but at the same time it kind of, I think that in itself sort of boosted up your confidence too, right? And it allowed you to kind of experience that, and like once you've had the experience with that, it made you kind of a lot more fearless probably going forward, right? So
not really fearless, I wouldn't say that. I was actually fearful.
Okay.
I'm like, what, I'm fearful for my life. I don't want to, what if I lost my hand?
Yeah.
That was something that I would never have imagined. I'm like, what, I'm still young. I was 24 and I almost lost a finger. I'm like, I don't want to be in a situation where I can't even use my hand. Like it sounds very normal to anyone. It sounds very easy for anyone to actually just, think, oh my God, what? One finger, okay.
It's not gonna happen to me, right? But you said yourself you were very you were very pursuant and you were somewhat careless too, right?
I was very careless.
And so it's almost like life decided to teach you that lesson to kind of I think I'm sure you'll carry it with you for the rest of your life, right?
I would. There was one point I still remember that the day the Ministry of Labor walked into the construction site, I was on the scaffold because I was also doing cedar sidings.
Okay.
So I was using the stucco guy's scaffold. So it was about 3 floors up, or on top of the house. I was just finishing up something. So I had a step ladder on top of a scaffold on the top high, and I was very on top without any harness, and I'm just working. And somebody was like, "Hey, the Ministry of Labor's down." I'm like, I know everybody says that, but they're never on.
Yeah.
And then there's this one lady down there, and she saw the car. I'm like, she said, "I'm from Ministry of Labor. Please walk down." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And then she's like, "What do you mean, are you sure? That's very unsafe what you're doing there." I'm like, "Okay, just give me 2 minutes. Let me finish this up." I was so careless. And then she's like, "Just get down." I got down. I took the ladder, and half of the people got scared, so they were running away.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, okay, well, what's good gonna happen of running away?
Yeah.
So we were talking. I was talking to them. Lucky enough, they just turned the side off. They did not fine us. They gave us the warning and they told us to fix everything. And
you're
be
lucky,
careful.
man. You're lucky.
I was very lucky at that point. I was very careful too, because I just wanted to see that beautiful house being done, and I was doing something very pretty. Cedar sidings on top of the house. It was just flowing down all the way, and I'm like, I need that done. I want to see this house, and I was, creative. I wanted to do that. So, that being said, that was a big learning curve. And once I quit that job, within like an hour, he accepted my resignation. Like, he did not even say anything. He did not even question that, why do I want to leave? He just accepted. I think he was expecting me to quit, or maybe he was doing that on purpose. So I quit, and he does not have to pay me anything. So there was another thing. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I just want to move on. I want to be happy in my life with whatever situation I am. I'm not happy here. Doesn't matter. So I contacted George Brown. Being an alumni over there, so they put my profile back in the hiring. They had something with the hiring. Students.
Usually, a lot of the colleges they help you get a job after you graduate, because it's in their interest to keep their employment numbers up for the past graduates, right? So especially then,
So they helped me out, and somebody got in touch with me. It was an Italian contractor, and I just gave my interview over the phone. I met them. And he looked at my hand that, okay, you know what, I still had injury. It was not 100%. And I told him that, okay, you know what, I can work, I can do everything. But then again, there might be a few days that I might have to leave like an hour early, because I have to go for my physiotherapy.
Sure.
And I used to, schedule it during the work days, because it's only work days, it's not weekends. So I scheduled it during the work days, but at 4 p.m. so I can leave at 3:30 and go to the hospital. And, it's not going to be that I'm going during the day and then coming back to work. It's not right in the middle of the day. He was comfortable. He was really humble and really kind, and lots and lots of experience. He was doing that for 35 years.
Wow.
And lots of experience. A really amazing guy. I worked for him for a long time, for almost 2 years.
What was his name?
Ricardo,
okay.
Yeah, Ricardo. I still remember him. I worked with him for a good amount of time, every day, and he was a guy. He used to enjoy doing the same thing. We shared the passion towards construction. We shared the knowledge that we want to do something beautiful for the client. It doesn't matter that if it's going to take us an extra half a day, but he wanted to deliver something really quality. It was something with the standards, and we're not. When it comes to aesthetics, you could play around, but when it's something structural, it has to be done properly. So he's gonna take. Of course,
absolutely,
So he used to double check everything, every little thing. He used to double check. I believe he had OCD for that, and initially it was really.
I think it's one of those characters that's probably helpful to somebody like in business, right? Because even my own grandfather, that's one of the things he used to always say is like, always trust, but always double check. He said no matter what, he's like, that's the one thing you always kind of stick with, right? So, and I think especially in construction with foundation and setting up things like that, it's essential. It's like one of those things that you kind of must have in order for you to have a successful career. And obviously, with him being, having that past experience, I think life has obviously taught him along the way to keep up those standards, right? But I love that you're telling me all about humbleness and always keeping that kind of humble spirit about you. It always keeps you in check, and always it doesn't allow you to get your nose stuck up too high, right?
Because when you get arrogant, you know what, everything changes. So when you're humble, the only way to be humble is by remembering where you came from, what you did, like how you got there. And when you see another person, don't actually just push them away or tell them that, okay, you know what, you're good for nothing, or you know what, it's going to take you a long time, or hey buddy boy, I've been doing that for 30 years, it's going to take you more than 30 years because I had a passion for it and you're nothing, because you don't know what the other person is. Maybe it's not his forte, maybe he's going to be a really good person and he's going to be doing some limited set of skills, but he's going to excel that very fast and very soon, maybe sooner than you. So you never know what the other person is capable of. Everyone has their own set of skills. So, and he used to enjoy talking to me because we had the common passion. We shared passion towards construction and creating something. And he used to buy coffees when we were working, and when I'm working, and he used to crack jokes on me or crack jokes at someone, and laugh and work. It was a healthy environment, and we used to enjoy. And
it's important to have that even with people that you work with or people that are work for you,
because they want to obviously
to kind of always have that environment where it's not just tension, right? Because the boss is pissed off, so everybody has to walk with their heads low, right? With their
put your nose down.
Exactly, right? So it's for sure. I agree that when you have a happy environment, I think overall it makes your work happier. It makes the workers happier. But then sometimes you kind of you do have to lay the law down. But at the same time,
always happens at work. But then again, you should understand that it's not personal. If you're having a bad day at work, it's only because of something happened at work. And your personal relationship with them does not change, because anything would happen, it was all professional and work. If you'd made a mistake or you forgot something, then definitely someone's gonna give you shit. But then again, you know what? It's because of the work is being suffered. That's all. It's not you're a bad person and the other person is just undermining you or giving you shit because of your personal reasons.
So are those principles you think you're gonna implement obviously in your business as well?
I do that.
Going forward. Okay.
I do that. I still do that. With Ricardo, he was, it was a big learning curve. He was doing everything, quality standards, and he had his name that, okay, you know what, never use substandard quality products, or never use any, never cut corners. A lot of people cut corners, but he actually spent more time by working extra and double checking everything himself. So even if I'm going to work with any little thing, one little thing, one switch I installed, he's going to come, he's going to check, verify everything's good by himself, because one, he's the boss, everything is under his liability, and second, he wants to verify that, okay, you know what, do it one time, check it again, because if there's something wrong, for you to come back all the way and fix one little thing
and take the wall apart in order for you just to check the switch. It's going to take you so much more labor, right? So
it takes a lot of time and labor. So it's a lot of money being wasted. So you know what, spend a little more time, do your work, but verify and make sure everything's done right the first time, because again, you don't want to be doing all of the work all over again. Initially it was kind of annoying, because every little thing I do, I have to come back and check, and I'm like, it's done right, I know it. But then again, you know what, it kind of grew on me, and I was doing that, and it was a good practice. I do that in my work, and my guys, they tell me it's annoying. And I know it's annoying, but I've learned the habit to, verify, to check.
So you're almost like an old man that, has been running this business. You kind of adopted a lot of the qualities. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. It's your business. You run it the way you want it, right? So
exactly.
But then again, you know what? And it's also really important to have a healthy work environment, because when you get back home, you feel happy. And there's only like few hours that you spend with your family, but majority of your day you spend with your workers and with all the people that you work with. So when you work with them, and if you're not happy working that period of time, you're not going to be happy in your life. So just got to be happy, make a healthy environment. So that's what he did, and I enjoyed working with him. And once, after a lot of time, he was also taking trips. He was going to Florida. He had a daughter in Florida. He used to go visit her. And a lot of times I just used to take part of one project, control one project, and he was starting up a new project. So he used to take some guys and work that project, and I'm at one job, and it's going to take me another 2-3 weeks to finish. So I have like a few guys, and we're finishing up the one in the back. So he's starting next one, and then I take over this project, and it's gonna take, we're both working together, and then he's gonna start the next one, and I'm finishing up. So it was a good team. We had a good team, and workers are coming in, workers are going. We're hiring. I hired a few more people from George Brown. I'm still in touch with them. Some people moved on side of their own company as well. Some people they're working for another company because they wanted to grow. They wanted like benefits. They wanted to, I think 2 people went to Matabee Homes. So they worked their way up, which was really good. And with this company, I have learned a lot, not just from regular, like we've done something very small, also something like a $500,000 basement. And I was surprised, like, who spends $500,000 in a basement? But the guy is rich. Like, he lives in Florida. The guy comes to, he comes to Toronto. He's got his penthouse suite, and for his vacation for 2-3 months, he's got a cottage. And within the cottage, he wants to do the basement and with a home theater, with a mini casino. Like, he had like poker tables, and he had his own gym. And with the classes, equipments, and the home theater was amazing. He had his own popcorn machine over there, so
he wanted a lot. He wanted to have it all, right?
Well, you know what? When you have money and you have a lot of money to spend in a vacation home, you do it.
Well, when you have a vacation, you want to
spend time.
You want to have it proper too, right? So
exactly.
Fair enough.
Well, he wanted to spend his money, and he was. And it's it's his personal choice. And touch wood, one day if I had that kind of money, I would do the same. Why not? Why not? So so that was my profile, that what I was working with this job. And at that point, I was thinking one day that I work a lot and I have learned a lot. I still have a long way to go, and I'm going to learn something new every day, because that's something that I'm never going to stop. A person learns and loves his job, and if he is not learning in his job, or if he's not learning everything or something new every day, I don't think he's human. I don't think he's human, because some people are arrogant that, okay, you know what, I know more than anyone. I know more than what the book says. I know more than what the instructor is telling you. But then again, it's just the arrogance, because we're humans.
So
it
goes back to those humble beginnings, right? So,
so it goes back to it. So once you're at that phase, you know what? There's no going back. It's just one slam back that you got a hard reality check. I was thinking that, okay, you know what? A lot of my employers, when I start, they leave everything on me. I have a lot of responsibilities, and even this, the same boss, Ricardo, he had his hip replacement surgery. He was not working for more than a month, and I was taking care of all his business. He's home. I was helping him a lot, and I was thinking, okay, you know what? I should probably start my own thing, because if I can take care of someone else's business, that probably...
Well, he's away for a whole month,
more than a month. But then again, it's not just him. It was another bosses as well, the other companies that I work for. So that being said, I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I should, but how? Where? I've been just working, and there's a big there is one thing that you're just working. Let's just say this is the execution of job. But apart from this, there's a lot of things that getting a clients, convincing them, pricing, estimating, planning, and negotiating with the clients. And it's not just these phases. Like planning, you could, I could do that too. But the other parts that I was really not into was the financial part, estimating, and the customer service, because after that, you got to give them warranty for all your work. If something goes wrong, you got to come back and fix it. I do a lot of quality work, but then again, when it comes to quality work, it's all based on time, that you got to spend more time to get that quality work. And then again, people want stuff to be done very cheap. there's so many people out there. Like I believe 75 to 80% of people out there in Toronto GTA market, they would want to negotiate and bring the price down. But when you're looking and calculating, I'm like, it was really hard for me. It's something really new to me. So I was in a state of shock that, okay, I'm going to start a business, but where should I start? How should I do it? So I took some time. I'm like, okay, you know what? This one, I need to start going out there, pricing up jobs for people and see what happens. And I did that. A lot of people just told me no, that, okay, you know what, your price is too high, price is too high. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I used to get paid this much money, and with that same hour, if I'm going to hire more people, the 2 more people, let's just say $20 an hour, $25 an hour. So 3 people, $25 an hour, that much time I work, I calculated, plus the material costs, a little bit for contingencies that, okay, you know what, something goes wrong, something extras, wastage. So, and my numbers are not right. People are not going with me. I'm like, what's the reason? And it's still sometimes hard for me to believe that if I price up a bathroom, they want to do tile job, they want to do like vanity, faucets, lights, paint job, new tiles. I price up, it goes from 6,000 to 10 to 12,000, but people are like, oh, I got someone better for cheaper. And in my head, I'm thinking it's a shock for me that, okay, you know what, I priced your job for $8,000 and you got someone to do it with material, everything inclusive, $6,000. That's a $2,000 gap, and my $8,000 was my labor and maybe a little bit more that I could include for, you know, $500 more for tiles. So $8,500, your job is done. So, and that guy is offering $6,000 inclusive. There has to be something different, and I'm still learning. That's the thing that I'm learning. I got in touch with my dad. I'm like, Dad, this is what's happening, and it's been almost, you know, a few weeks that I've not earned something, and I'm not able to understand that. What should I do? Like, okay, you know what? I'm going to invest in a property. Let's buy a property. I'm going to invest. He's back home in India. He's not here. I'm just here with my brother. So you're like, let's buy a property. Let's do a job, and you will learn on your own. So that was my first project, that he invested in a property. He bought it, and I spent the money, and I learned every bit of it, that every stage, how much money I'm paying, and where could I save the money. Beautiful job. Amazing quality. Everyone loved it. When the house went on market, there was line up during open houses. People are coming, looking at the quality job, and the house was sold for, you know, a decent price. Because when it's real estate, it's something different. When it comes to, you know, working your renovation or construction, it's something different. So I learned a lot from that where I could do it. So that gave me one base, and a lot of people got to know that, okay, you know what, just because I was at a job and I was, you know, under someone else's umbrella, he was a contractor, but still they were able to manage, and I was doing a lot. Now that I'm away from someone else's umbrella again, and I'm doing everything on my own, it's my company and I'm taking care of it, it was also another big experience for me to start my own company and take that whole project from, and that I spent almost $260,000 on that renovation.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was everything, like except for the exterior walls, the brick and the sidings, everything inside the walls. Like we gotta get permits, structural, brand new appliances, brand new windows. All the windows are replaced, insulation replaced, attic, roof, inside walls. All the bathrooms were redone, and tiles. So it was like outside you see that, okay, you know, what's an old contemporary house, but inside it's all modern. Everything was done. So people were looking at a house that, okay, in the same neighborhood, a lot of people had the same houses because the builder, when they build it, they're all cookie cutter. But now this is something out of the box, something different.
Something that stands out, yeah.
So when it stands out of the town, it's just within like a week or two, the house was sold. And the person, they loved the family, they bought the house. They didn't like a few things that I gave something fancy, because within the kitchen, it's all white kitchen with the gray floors, and all the hardware were gold. So they were all golden touch. So all the cover plate, the backsplash is all Caesar stone. So the countertop and the backsplash, it's all going up top, and all the veins are flowing together in a line. It was expensive, but then again, I'm like, you know what, I want to give a quality product. So people, when they look at that, it's not just the countertop, so just the way the grains are flowing, the backsplash is also in the same direction. It's not just like on the side. So, and the plugs, they had the golden cover plates, all the doors, the cabinets, they had golden plates. The faucet was golden. It was somewhere about $700 of a faucet.
Wow.
It was expensive, but then I'm
what was it, gold plated?
I'm not sure. It was from Riobel.
Yeah.
And Rubinet.
Okay.
It was from Rubinet, and they're expensive companies. But then again, I'm like, you know what? I want this to be the focal point, because that's where people spend most of their time, in the kitchen and in the family room. So that has to be something good. So the kitchen was beautiful, and I also designed something for myself. A lot of people were like, oh, it's not gonna work, I don't know, people are gonna like it. It looks like a massive kitchen, but somewhere about 6 feet of that kitchen is the first door, it's a pantry. And I made it custom on site that looks exactly like the kitchen cabinets. So all the work around, all the doors, everything, it looks like a pantry, but the moment you open the door, it's a powder room. It's a powder room, because on the main floor, I had nowhere else that we could do it. And I don't want to make another cubicle somewhere in the corner and then put a powder room. So I just wanted to, everything to flow and blend in. So before the kitchen begins, right beside the stairs, there's a powder room, which looks like a pantry.
So did you try to keep up with like trends and everything else too, just in order for you to kind of implement that? But also, you probably having the artistic touch and background, it was kind of probably came natural too, right? So that was probably helpful for you in that business, right?
Exactly. So everything went good, because science, I used it, and the art, and I'm using it. So something creative, I'm designing and giving something beautiful. The house is being sold. They wanted not just the gold faucet and the gold hardware to be replaced, also the golden light fixture that we had over the island, they wanted to be replaced with everything stainless steel, because they don't like gold. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I put a lot of money all the time in this beautiful kitchen, and they want me to replace it. But then again, they wanted the house. I'm like, I'm probably gonna use this one in the next project. So I took everything and I replaced it with the stainless steel as they wanted. They loved it, they're happy, and recently, they moved in that house as well. And in the meantime, the moment, that project was done, a lot of people started taking my cards. They're like, okay, you know what, could you come and look at our house? And that's where it began. I started getting clients, because, as I said, it's something different when you're doing something and you know how to do it, but getting clients is not easy. So that's where a lot of clients, they started seeing that, okay, I've done a lot of work. I have good experience. I have seen in it's just a trend. It's just like let's just say a stereotype that if someone is old and he's got gray hair, he's got a beard, and no matter what he was doing until yesterday, he tells that, okay, you know what, I'm a contractor, and he says that I've been doing that for a lot of years. People just believe them, because he's old, he's mature, he looks that, okay, you know what, he might know something. But when you look at a young person, you're like, oh, he's just young. So I lost a lot of clientele right there, because when you look young, and people don't just have trust, because it's not just only a few people can trust your work, because until and unless they look at your quality of work, and until and unless they see what do you do, they're not going to trust you.
They're going to think you're inexperienced. Yeah,
exactly.
It's almost like when they say, don't judge a book by its cover, but people still do, right? No matter what.
People do it. Everyone does that.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone does that. So that being said, I'm over there. A lot of people are taking my numbers. Anyone coming on at the open house, I had a whole stack of my business cards, and everything was gone. And a lot of people left their numbers. They're like, oh, could you ask the contractor to get in touch with me? So I started getting clients. So
they started the ball rolling kind of thing, right?
The ball started rolling, and then one job and the next job. But it's also something that every job, I learned something new. So there's one recent job that I did. That job was replacing the backsplash, and they had the island, which was old. It was builder grade. They made it regular, so they wanted like the island also to have like a stone piece in the front. So we did. I took the job. I priced the job, and I priced the job because it's winter time. It's really competitive. I priced the job very low, and I'm like, okay, the job is in Oakville. This much time is gonna take me. Blah blah blah. Labor. I priced it, and they took the job. I'm like, okay, good. Let's get the show going. So now what we're gonna do? You choose all the materials wherever you want to go. I can suggest you some companies. You talk to them. You like them. If you like the material, and you like the products, you know what? Let's look into it. So if you go to the company that I like, the company that I have a tie-up with, I have my contractor pricing over there. We get discounts. Sometimes we get discounts. Sometimes we get commissions. So this one, I told them, okay, you know what? No matter what it is, I'll give you the discount. So even if I'm going to get the commission, instead of the commission, what I'll do, you take the discount.
You'll price it in a
so
such a
you,
way.
yeah,
Sure.
so exactly.
Yeah.
So you're going to save some money. You'll get the job. It's in your benefit. So they chose a lot of material from the store. They chose the backsplash tile, the island tiles. They chose the hardware because they also want to get the golden hardwares and the golden faucet. And everything was going smooth. And they changed some appliances. Being a builder, and then you know a lot of people within the appliance stores, and they give you better discounts. So even for appliances, which is not my part, they got a good deal out of it. So one of my guys were taking the gas stove in and out because we're doing the backsplash, so it's pushing it in, pushing it out, back and forth every day a little bit. The door went a little crooked, and I'm like, now you know what? I don't want to give him shit because he's doing his job, and it's not healthy for any appliance to pull it back and forth out. So what we do is we just leave it on the side, get everything done, and that's when we get back to it and it's ask the HVAC guys, the gas guys, to come and install it again. But they had a baby. It was I think few months old. So the baby's few months old. They want to warm up the milk. They want to feed the baby. They want to cook at home. So we had to keep everything for them as well. So that being said, now there's a little bit of bitterness between our relation because something went wrong. I called the companies, you know what, this is what happened. Could you please come and fix it? The guy came, they fixed 90%, but the 10% was not done. So they call the company again. They're like, it's in the warranty. It's not fixable. We need a replacement. And they're arguing that, okay, you know what, it's a physical damage, we cannot replace it. But their argument was like, okay, if we pushed it in and out 3-4 times and now the door is crooked, do you see what the quality of product that you have? And that's a big company. And they're in a state of shock too, that, okay, you know what, it's actually true. So they gave them, after a lot of phone calls by
Going
them,
back and forth,
them and me as well. I started that, but after that, at a certain point, I gave up because the company was not doing it, and I'm not the homeowner. So they were like, you know what, we're going to talk to the homeowner. I cannot do that. That being said, they were taking part of it. They got a replacement. They got a technician who came from the company who installed it, everything done. But then again, you know what, there's a bitterness because it is done. I was ready to, reduce my price because of a physical damage. But then again, they were like, okay, it's fine. This stuff happens. We're just talking to the company, and they're going to send us a replacement. But still, you know what? It's something that happens at every job that makes you learn that what needs to be done at the next job, how to prevent it. You also learn some steps for precaution that you want to take next time. That I know that I should not have actually pulled and pushed it in and out every day. But then again, it was just to help them out because of the baby, and they want to cook the food.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that was another learning curve. That, okay, you know what, how to have a client being satisfied, not just with the work that you're doing, but also something which is not associated with the work. So every day, by the end of the day, we used to clean and sweep. We used to have the mats from front door towards the garage and towards the kitchen. We used to clean up every day, leave it because they've got a crawling baby. We don't want to leave anything dusty. Seal everything. Yeah. So they were happy, but then again, you know what? There's something which is fine, which is I know, and I'm learning from that. And the next project that I know, you know what, we'll try to prevent whatever happens. And right after this, I also have another meeting to go. He liked my job. He saw the house, and he's seen multiple jobs that I've done because he came from one of our contractors. So there's this taper, and his friend. He is my taper's friend, and he saw multiple of our jobs, and he's like, you know what? I've seen your work. I've also seen your Instagram. Just I've seen a lot of work. Could you please come by the house that I'm working in York Mills? I just wanna, take up your price, and let's see what you have. And if the prices match, I really want you to do the job. So I'm probably gonna go see what happens over there.
That's amazing. So what's your company called, man?
Kiravee Design Building.
Okay, and how would they find you online? Like, what's the website address?
So right now I don't have a website.
Okay.
Because it's still I started my company last July.
Yeah.
And it's not just one company that I have. I also registered the Kiravee, like the brand. I registered the company, and Kiravee actually comes from my name, Avee, and my brother's name. He's older than me, but
Are you working with your brother now?
Well, he's an accountant. He helps me with the management, right?
So you instead of doing the accounting yourself, you have him do it for you.
He does it, but he also helps me manage and some decision making when I the financial part, because he's really good with the numbers. He's really good with the finances. So when we look into the budget, he helped me allocate the amount, because I know what is the prices for finishes. I know the prices for the raw materials. I know the prices, how much it's going to take, how much time it's going to take, and he knows, the planning part and behind the desk part. So we both put our resources together and put our skills together. We work with the project, and he helps with it. So that's why his first three letters are from his name, K-I-R, and the last four are from my name, Avee. So Kiravee Design Build, which is my company for renovation and construction. And going forward for new construction houses, if we're going to do our houses, so I also have, we have a company, Kiravee Homes, and we have another company, Kiravee Inc, and that's what my Instagram handle is, Kiravee Inc. So right now, everything over there, it's all based on construction and renovation that I'm doing. But in future, let's see, the market is endless. If I have another business or we're doing something more with some people, we start up something new, I'm going to be using the same brand, Kiravee.
For sure, you definitely should. Yeah, well, there's a lot of meaning behind it too, because it's the two of you, right? It's the two brothers that are doing it together. So that's meaningful. So most of the stuff is available on your Instagram account right now, and then can they find you on Facebook or any other social media as well?
Facebook, I just have it because Instagram and Facebook are connected, but I'm trying, because there's something, when you have a company, you're running your own business, there's a lot of stuff that is included. So, liability insurance, there's payroll taxes, which he, everything he takes care of, but there's so much involved. There's WSIB, and every day when I come back home from work, I'm still working because I gotta sit with my brother and I gotta work on the paperwork and all the invoices that we had. We gotta document.
Running your own business, right?
Exactly. We gotta document all the invoices, all the receipts. We gotta put in together because, for the taxes, we have to. And when it's your own company, you have less sleep and it's really stressful, which is very true. When we are hustling at a job or to get a job, it's something different because you're working 8 to 5, 9 to 5. You have a set of hours, and your weekends are your own.
Exactly.
But when you have your own company, you don't have a day. The weekends are gone. Forget the weekends.
So you're not living for the weekend anymore. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people need to realize is that when you're working for yourself, you never really have a day off. Even when you're away on vacation, right? Like you were telling me, like the first guy that you used to work for, right? I mean, if stuff starts to go down, if you're a good owner, you need to be hands-on. You need to be involved, right? And that's it's one of the things that you don't really. I think it's a different mindset almost, right? That you have to implement in order for you to be successful as a business person too. And you said yourself, you learn every single day on the job with everything that happens, right? So
absolutely.
And I'm sure even Ricardo, the 35-year-old, the 35-year veteran, right? So I'm sure even he learned some new stuff every single day, right? So
he does that too.
I think that's kind of a part of human nature for you to learn stuff, and when you don't learn, life teaches you, the example that you had with almost losing your finger, right? So it's
life is the biggest teacher. He's the biggest teacher. Like, no matter what you do, life will always teach you anything that you have. Like, no matter what industry you are in, no matter what you feel they're in, even if it's education or your work or family or relationship, life will always teach you. It's the biggest lesson. If you don't learn from your own life experiences, you know what? I don't know when you're gonna learn. And it's something very easy. Sounds very easy, but self-realization about your own mistakes is very important. And within the past, like last few weeks, I've self-realized a lot of myself, about myself, some mistakes that I've made in my personal life, the way I act. And one of my really good friends, he pointed out to me that, you know what, you should not be doing this one because, you know, it is perceived and received in a different way to some people. So I'm like, I never thought of that.
It's important to have those friends that can call you out on your own bullshit, right? Sometimes,
but
because I think that when it comes from somebody you don't really know as well, you don't really value it as much.
You may take it the wrong way.
When it's somebody who you're close with, or somebody who you've had a relationship for a long time, it's one of those things. You're like, oh yeah, shit. Like I need to realize. I need to actually like, you know, step back for a second and, you know, look at it from a different perspective, right? So it's
always have to. And if you don't do it, then you know what, you're gonna be making same mistakes all over again, and stuff is not gonna be.
Well, life is just gonna keep teaching you until you learn, right? that's almost like that.
Yeah, until you learn, until you learn. But there will be some day that, you know, everyone realizes something, and you're like, okay, you know what? Yes, you know what? It's absolutely true that, okay, you know what? I should not be doing this one. And I realized it, and I'm working on it. And which is, I feel it's good. It's good for me, and it's going to be good for my future. That, okay, you know what, whatever it is, I am learning. I realized something in myself. I'm going to work on it, and let's see how far we go.
I mean, it sounds like you have a very bright future you know, ahead of you, because you've had that experience of, you know, the very extreme in a bad way and a very good in a good way with Ricardo, because Ricardo, you know, he was so meticulous with everything that he's done, right? So and plus you've bounced around in the different spectrums of construction world, and it seems like, you know, you have that drive, you have that dedication, you have that willingness to you know, take the extra little steps, even whether it be like, you know, trying to go back and fix a mistake that happened because of, you know, the things that were outside of your control, with like that stove, right?
Exactly.
Even then, I mean, it's I think it's important for, you know, it's like going back to what you said originally. It's important to stay humble, right? No matter how high you get, you kind of always have to have that, you know, realistic perspective on life too, and like not be, you know, up in the clouds, and, you know,
you gotta stick to your roots. You gotta stick to your roots.